I'm still Pew.
For today's cup of coffee, we're going to do a revisit because kid, he's still having a bit of a healing crisis, but he's doing better than he was earlier today. Never underestimate the power of homemade chicken soup.
It's healing.
It is healing.
I need to eat more.
Not that stuff that you get out of a can that they wave the chicken over it. That is not real chicken soup.
No, you need that good homemade stuff. It's healing.
Lots of onions, lots of garlics.
Yes.
Yeah. So I actually was busy with went on a jag as far as cooking this evening.
She made chicken soup. She baked fries. She
I made
cooked chili.
Bless. I made homemade chili.
That's
I
why
made
I
homemade
paused, 'cause it was like, oh,
coleslaw.
God.
I made the rutabaga salad instead of potato salad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're good. We're set for a couple of days.
Send medicine.
Well, no.
Medicinal prayers.
No, well, actually, the chicken soup did make a difference already.
Yeah.
Plus, he's going to get. I'm going to fix him some rock and rye with some rock and rye with lemon and honey, and that should, Plus, we have slathered him with the Vic Salve type stuff.
I need to slather myself again. I'm burning up. I am burning up.
Hey,
it's not hot in the house. I'm burning up.
But you don't have a fever. It's your body trying
to touch my head.
Touch
all of the skin.
It's not. You don't have a temperature.
It's soggy.
The body.
It's like soggy white bread.
People have a tendency to stop a fever too quickly because the body is designed that way. We've been lied to. We've been told that our bodies are not capable of healing without outside intervention.
It sure as hell is.
And
if you have a good immune system, it sure as hell is.
Well, even as far as fevers, people have a tendency to stop or to, administer something to stop that.
No, it makes you sweat. Sweat it out.
This is not medical advice.
No.
Historically, people have used this to help heal themselves.
But the term sweating it out, it does help.
Yeah.
It doesn't cure it, but it does help some.
Yeah. If everybody could, I wish I had a home sauna. That would be a great thing, and that's a very cleansing thing.
You can get one of those cubicle type things, and you zip yourself up, and there you go.
Oh, hell no. You need to breathe the steam.
Stick your head in it.
Well, maybe.
Stick your head in it.
Maybe that's what we need to do is build our own sauna in the backyard.
Yes.
We could do that.
Stick your head in the box.
This time of year, it's called basically a tarp. Yeah, that's all you have to do.
It's a fucking... My God.
Anyhow, we're going to revisit something that, because we do have new viewers and stuff.
Help me.
That's another reason we got a candle burning. That's also as far as purification
we need
anytime anybody is sick. But because we do have new viewers, and sometimes I will put these on the weekends and people don't watch as often on the weekends. I try to avoid that, but sometimes I, miss it. Going to revisit about the Milgram and the Stanford prison experiments.
Yes.
And it's a little bit longer, but the information is valuable.
I'd put it on while you clean.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, with all these, put it on a playlist. There you go. It's just clean.
Yeah.
Cleaning day.
Mm-hmm.
Podcast.
Yeah, you can do that. Put your headphones on. And
mix it up with Phone with a Squirrel. Squirrels and Robots.
So I think that this is valuable. The information that you gather from this, share with others.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyhow, we hope that you enjoy Revisit.
Yes.
For today's cup of coffee, youngest kid, if you hear a sudden slap, you'll know what happened. And it will be justified. Each and every time. The beatings will continue until morale improves. So,
yeah, we'll see about that. we will. We'll see about that.
And we would like to welcome aboard IP Cyborg from Odyssey. He and Grey Death.
Welcome aboard.
Absolutely. I thought that was good. That was really good. And he and Grey Death are giving me some amazing rabbit holes to continue. And guys, you all from Odyssey are welcome to hop on over to meet the guys that are on YouTube that have been aboard our tiny skeleton crew for many a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's always a cool thing to talk amongst yourselves. It's a meeting of the minds. And my folks there on BitChute, God love you all. And it's like, we would definitely address you and welcome you by name if we knew the names. We got lots of lurkers on BitChute, which that's fine. I don't mind as long as somebody's
as long
watching.
As you're watching, you're welcome.
Absolutely, you're welcome to be here.
But even the lurkers need some acknowledgement, so hello, we appreciate y'all too.
BitChute people, love you guys. I really do. And sometimes we need to express that fully, rather than just saying the randomness.
Everybody's appreciated.
They are appreciated. Somebody that takes the time to have coffee with us and do the porch ponderings.
Yeah.
When it gets warm enough again, maybe we can go back out on the porch.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll have more of an echo effect. Hey, this is low budget, folks.
Oh, when I get
they wondered about that.
When I get a job, our setup is going to be a hell of a lot better than what we have.
I don't know
now.
that we need a hell of a lot better, except as far as it would be nice to have a place to have the actual boom mic and the mixing board set up and doing different things like that. That would be great. Mm-hmm. Which we actually do have the equipment, but because we have a tiny, tiny house, and that's perfectly fine because we have a house, and we're grateful. And over the past couple of years, we have finally got to, for the most part, it's still a work in progress, but it has been gothed out as dreams that I had for years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So mountain goth, it's a thing.
It is a thing. We love it.
Yeah. There's a little camouflage with the skulls, I think there's a lot of people that's goth around here. They just don't know it.
Camo.
Don't you leave me alone with my camo and my combat boots.
Camo only works for certain things.
It works for me. You have to admit, it works for me. It's the tartan of our people. The mountain people.
It doesn't look good on me.
That's the recessive gene in you. I'm still waiting for the day that activates. For real. It can happen. It can happen. My dream is for Kid to come in the house in mud-covered boots going, Mama, play Freebird, and flick that lighter. That is my dream.
No.
So, everybody has to have a dream. Everybody has to have a dream. And so we may have to do the flinging of the cats here in a moment, too. After our discussion yesterday about NATO wanting to, their plans for devices in space. And that brings us back to something, and I don't think that we have alluded to certain subjects but have not gone fully into depth on them. Yeah. No, I did not take the ADHD medication today. So that's where you get this randomness. It's like, damn, she never finished the sentences. That's the ADHD.
I'm unmedicated.
Hopefully he will be able to be medicated soon.
Hopefully.
So
they're supposed to have called it in.
Oh, yeah, well, anyhow.
Ooh.
One of the things that we are experiencing as a society and a world right now is a matter of psychological warfare. And we're just doing free form today. I will try to find you some links on the experiments that I'm going to quote. Mm-hmm. And that is the Milgram Experiment. And then the other one is the Stanford Prison Experiment.
Nice.
And Kid and I have actually studied these two experiments rather extensively, especially Stanford. And that was Phillips and Bardo.
That was fucked up.
Now, in the Milgram experiment, whether, I don't know who's familiar with it and who's not, this was where the psychologist wanted to understand why people in World War II, especially they're in Germany and different places like that, why they would do what they would do. And so the experiment that he designed was that you had someone that was supposed to be a tester, and then the other person was on the other side of the glass to where the testor could not see them. And if the person on the other side of the glass got an answer incorrect, the testor was supposed to administer an electrical shock. And so you had someone that was standing there in the room with a clipboard in a lab coat. That was it. And there was not actually another person that was being shocked. And they had recorded the responses, such as ow, and that the pain responses became more escalated as the voltage was increased. To the point that these people would have killed someone. They would have administered a lethal dose of electricity to another person. And it's interesting because in some of the footage of these things, the people would turn around and look at the person in the lab coat with the clipboard, and the person would just nod and go, administer the voltage. And they would turn around and they would do it.
Yeah.
At any point, they could have looked at dude in the lab coat, said, fuck you, and walked out.
They could have, but no.
And how easily people can be intimidated by somebody who appears to be in a position of authority. And how easily that they give up their own individual personal power to someone that they view as somehow outranking them. And we see that going on lots today. Then the other one was the Stanford prison experiment. And I love this. And both of these are classified as unethical experiments. And I don't know that they were. Let me go back to Milgram just a minute before I go into the Stanford experiment.
Okay.
There were people afterwards that complained about the experiment and how it was unethical and stuff like that. It wasn't that the experiment was unethical. They were not willing to accept the fact that they were capable of doing what they would have done. Now, had there been an actual person there, they would have killed somebody.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't that the experiment was unethical, it's that the individuals were immoral. And they couldn't deal with that.
Yeah.
So it's that I was just following orders excuse. They made me do it excuse.
Always blame someone else.
Sure. Rather than having personal responsibility and accountability.
Yep.
Even as far as being, to acknowledge, hey, there's a weakness in my character. There's a flaw in this. How do I correct this? Because it is hard to go against, swim against the current. Now, with the Stanford prison experiment, this is one of my favorites because where I was a corrections officer and I saw this. And Zimbardo, he was a college professor, and the experiment was designed once again to determine, why do people turn evil? Why do normal, average, everyday people suddenly choose to do evil? And so he took these college kids and he broke them into groups, and some of them were in the role of officers in a prison, and then the other group were supposed to be inmates. And the experiment was supposed to last for 2 weeks, and it had to be pulled within days because these people fell into the roles of victim and abuser, if you want to use it. I'm not exactly sure what terms that he used. But the people that were in the guard roles or the officer roles, one in particular just was sadistic. Now, he wasn't like that. Now, we don't know whether he had those traits prior to the experiment or not.
Right.
But when he was put in that position of power, he was a sadist as far as shaming these people, doing anything, because they, other than like physically assaulting them, I think that anything else went.
Right.
Likewise, the people that were in the role of inmate very easily gave their power to these other people. Mm-hmm. They could have easily joined together and overtaken the guards. No, I am not saying that you should instigate some kind of riot.
No,
that would be bad.
Please. No riots.
Those never end well. Never end well. Mm-hmm. But how Zimbardo himself became very enmeshed in the experiment. And he has been really good about explaining the part that he played in it, how he did get caught up in it, because he was supposed to be in the role of warden. And it was actually his girlfriend that stopped him. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Do you not understand these people are being abused? Do you not understand that this can have long-lasting consequences? You know, these are college kids. They're not actual inmates. They've done nothing wrong.
Right.
And so within that, how easily, within days, that happened. And part of it had to do with the clothing that they were wearing. You know, because the officers, of course, had they had the officer uniforms on. And then the other ones, they had, actually with the inmates, they hadn't given them just a usual uniform. They almost had sort of like a hospital gown, which again was a shaming thing, especially because these were men. I think they had made them wear like pantyhose on their head. As far as toilet facilities, I can't remember if they had a bucket or something like that.
Yeah.
And how easily that people can mentally break in conditions like that. And so part of that is man's inhumanity to man, but it's also how psychologically inequipped a lot of people are to deal with hardship. Mm-hmm. And we've got a lot of people going through these things today. For years, I have been an advocate for reform in the prison system and as far as treatment of inmates, because I also understood that a lot of these folks have severe psychological issues. And the jails and prisons have become the modern day mental health asylums, which is wrong because they're being abused there. They may not be turning the fire hoses on them, only because that they can't. They would if they could. So they have to be more subtle with the type of abuse. And there's a lot of people that it's like, oh, it's okay. They're in jail because of blah, blah, blah. Are you going to punish somebody for being mentally ill?
Apparently so.
And with both of these experiments, and within our corrections industry, justice industry, because it has nothing to do with justice, it has nothing to do with correcting anybody. It's all money making, follow the money all the time. We see how people, and I used to have an attorney friend.
Attorney friend.
I did at one point until she unfriended me because I discussed the fact that she was possibly bipolar. She accused me of practicing medicine without a license and everything. I was correct. And I should have put it in legalese. You have symptoms that are concurrent with people that could have the diagnosis of bipolar disorder.
Yeah, that's exactly how you should.
Because it is all this legalese bullshit stuff, to try to make conversation more cumbersome. But she wanted to believe that she was one of the good guys. And that the others, this is all othering, were bad guys. Except that there aren't any good guys and there aren't any bad guys. Because every individual has points that are good and points that are bad. It's whether or not the behavior is acceptable within societal norms.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And it's like, there are some cultures that if somebody does something criminal, what they deem criminal, and what that varies from country to country.
Yeah.
You know? That instead of automatically throwing them in a hole someplace, they ask them, why would you do this? You know, they try to find out the reasoning. Then there are other countries that they start whacking off body parts.
No.
So,
No.
but it's interesting as far as why people fail to see other people as people. Now, with somebody that is a psychopath, I question whether they are people. They look like people, but if you don't have any characteristics of people,
I don't think they count as people.
I think that they're reptilian hybrids, and I'm only half joking about that.
God.
For real.
You're right. You're probably right.
You know? So we're seeing this in our world play out, and we saw this not that long ago. Because these experiments that I have mentioned were to try to find out what had happened when this happened before. And there was another one that was before that. It wasn't on just such a grand scale. And it's concerning that what we have, you know, presented in front of us is once again on a grand scale, and perhaps then some, because NATO's wanting to take it beyond the planet. They preparing for that. They didn't
blow up Mars.
They did not release that statement as a lark. So that's concerning. And it's like, do we know? And this is the basis of the video. Do we know what we would do, or do we just think that we know what we would do?
We think we know what we would do, but we don't.
Well, I have a little bit of a difference because some of the jobs that I have done, and as far as corrections officer, it was just me in a uniform, and I hated the uniform anyhow. And as far as them, yes, they do indoctrinate you very much. Don't do this. They make you afraid of the people that are incarcerated. But when you talk to some of the people that are incarcerated and you find out their story, there was this one woman one time that I'm like, why are you? And she was an older lady, like in her 60s or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you here? And she's like, I stole a ham. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I stole a ham. She said, I had the money to pay for the ham, but she had just, and more than likely that was a street drug something. Yeah.
Oh shit.
And then you would have the people that had been horrifically abused as children, and that they were already broken spiritually and psychologically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that you had these people, I don't know how in the hell somebody could look, this one girl, and she was a beautiful girl, and just scars all down her arms where she was a cutter.
Yeah.
And I just looked at her one time because they had put her in SEG for something. God knows she pissed off the wrong person. For real. And that's exactly what they would do. They would, you know, be petty and catty and bitchy, and that's what they would do to punish them. And she had her arms hanging out the pie flap there that one day, and I saw the scars and stuff, and I'm like, somebody really hurt you, didn't they? And just tears, just the formation of the tears in her eyes, because that is not the environment that most people want to cry in.
Yeah. Poor girl.
And I have seen these people, like I said, just hurtful, hateful because that they were wearing a badge. I've seen the same thing when I was in nursing.
They think somehow if they get, a title, they automatically are above others.
It's a piece of paper.
Exactly. Well, it happens when that piece of paper gets torn up or something.
What happens when it's people like I was in nursing school that they were in pre-med and they were cheating their way through some of these classes?
Exactly.
Those people are out there somewhere. Mm-hmm. And, of course, this was 150 years ago when I was in college in nursing, and that they still had this stuff. Oh, you never question a doctor. That was another reason I knew I needed to get out, because I was an assault charge waiting to happen. Because you ask questions. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially if you know something's up, you ask those questions immediately.
Right. And that's one of the things, I don't care who it is, intimidation. Okay, first of all, find out why you feel intimidated. Mm-hmm. Because of somebody who supposedly has a piece of papers, because of ask questions.
Yep.
Okay, if somebody graduated, where were they? How did they rank in their class?
Exactly.
If you've got 300 people in the class and yours, was the last one in the class, you might want to be searching for another provider.
Yeah.
This deal of protecting people who are doing wrong, I saw that lots as a corrections officer. Lots. Because they're people. But when you other someone, and we have othering in multiple layers going on right now in our country, and a house divided cannot stand. No. And so that's concerning to me. And we're seeing this going across in other places too. And they're like, oh, it's conspiracy theory. Really? It sounds like an organized operation to me.
Sounds like it to me too.
So this is distressing to me because we are seeing these experiments lived out real time.
Yep. And it's scary.
It is scary.
It is absolutely scary.
And the whole point of this is not to try to add to fear, because I believe that whatever these beings are, that they feed on fear. They feed on confusion, division, all those things, any of the negative emotions. But it's a matter of being aware. Happy idiot, this is not the time for that. This is a matter of, know your enemy. Martial arts, if you can anticipate what your enemy is going to do, you know how to counter it. There's a lot of instinctual behavior in martial arts. And these new people are going to go, my God, she's done everything. Yes.
She was only a couple away from black belt.
Yeah, I was two belts away from black, but it's all right. And that was years ago, because getting thrown in the floor is not as much fun now as it used to be.
I don't think... See, in my opinion, getting thrown in the floor is not a fun time.
Well, I never did, as a female, I never did like ground fighting, so it was a matter of learning
That's because you're lower to the ground.
I am lower to the ground, but it was a matter of knowing, assessing the situation and trying to avoid it if I have to.
Right.
That's why, especially at my age, 2A all the way. Yeah. Let's level the playing field a little bit, put it in my advantage. That's not with any intent to harm others. That is not with the intent to protect self.
Yep.
And so we've got a lot of crazies out there right now. I'm just going to say it the way that it is. Not meaning to be offensive to people who have mental health issues. But we've got people that are unhinged. They're not able to deal with what's going on. A lot of them refuse to accept what's going on. When you tell somebody, when you show them that they've been deceived and brainwashed, they are going to deny that, sometimes vehemently, sometimes violently.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't want to admit that such a thing could happen to them.
I would want to admit that.
I've admitted it because I've been in situations before where the shit's happened to me. Because I've had an interesting life. I never wanted an interesting life because I am one of the most low drama people, but shit just happens to me. Yeah.
You know, this is a moment where I wish we had face cams just so, like...
Because I'm very animated and you're facially animated also. Yeah.
Yep.
But it's the podcast style is better. You know, let them have the illusion. Let them have the imagination.
I mean, there are podcasts where you can just see the hosts, but it's literally just them sitting there talking.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things I watch like that, but I would much rather have the candle and the x-ray of the head over there. That's more interesting. That is.
I mean, there are some podcasters who on their channel, instead of like, they just put a picture and you know that audio like waves or whatever that bounce with the audio.
Right.
They just have that going around the picture or whatever.
That's not more interesting than the x-ray
and that's
of
what
the
you
skull.
watch. And that's what you watch while you listen, is that audio wave bouncing up and down.
Picture of skull. I would rather have
That's a picture. It's not animated or anything.
No, it's an x-ray. What does it have? We are animated vocally. What more do they need?
So for some reason, people like to stare at the pictures while they listen to something, even though it's the same picture through the whole video.
Isn't that odd?
Yes. Why? It's so like, it's like you put in a CD and you take the CD case and you just stare at it the whole time that you're listening to the album.
And see, I never did that. And maybe it is trying to make a connection with the individual, you know, or who they believe the individual to be. Yeah. But you got to realize I'm old school. I loved being in radio. Loved it. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, Art Bell was one of my radio heroes. Yeah.
Yep.
And he never saw the need for any kind of visualization. Art wasn't much. He was an odd-looking man.
Yeah. He
But,
was. Very, very... You could definitely point out, oh, that's Art Bell.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was a matter of when you heard him, his intelligence came through. You know, views. I didn't agree with everything that he said, especially his political views.
Well,
I'm like, huh?
Who agrees with everyone on
Exactly.
anyone?
Exactly.
Whatever the fuck I said.
You know, if you're agreeing with everything, you've either got an agenda or more brainwashing has taken place.
Yeah. You don't have to. It's okay to disagree with everyone.
Sure.
On anything.
Sure. It's called humanity. It's called thinking for yourself. Mm-hmm. Developing your own views. Not taking your cues by somebody with a lab coat and a clipboard.
Don't blindly follow.
Right.
Don't sheep your way through.
And if you're one of the people in position of power today that has a uniform and a badge, you got to take that off at some point. And that is a really... There's more responsibility with that job than a lot of people acknowledge.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's... you know, there's lots of ways to harm people. And a lot of those wounds may be invisible, but there's a lot of people that are wounded that they don't forget.
Right.
Loudoun County, I'm talking child in particular. Mm-hmm. And we're in a period of time where people are having to pick sides.
We are.
You know, and it's just like I was talking to Omega earlier, and it's like most of the people that any of us know, we would not want to hurt somebody. But if it comes down to you protecting yourself and your family, sometimes you got to do what needs to be done. And I pray to God I'm not, you know, being prophetic on any of this stuff. No more so than anybody else that's paying attention these days.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like a lot of us will sit there, you know, lock and load, keep your powder dry, keep your head on a swivel. And we use these terms because we can see the earmarkings of what may be coming. Mm-hmm. I'm still praying that God's going to intercede in a big way.
I hope.
Yeah. So, Milgram Experiment, Zimbardo Experiment. And I would very much like to hear in the comments, or if you want to send an email or whatever it is, or just think for yourself on this, what would you have done? What would you have done if you had been, assigned the role of an officer or as an inmate? Mm-hmm. If you were the one that was...
What do you think you would have done?
Right.
What do you think you would have done or would do?
I was born rebellious. I did do yesterday. I have done before, and it has appalled you. That was just like when I went to Mom.
Don't act me like that.
When I went to Mom with the urologist, and there were no signs on the door or anything like that. I go in, and the receptionist holds up two paper thingies. Here, you have to put this on. Ballot Health says that you have to put it on. I looked at her. I said, I'm allergic. Well, it's their policy. I said, it's okay. I said, you can help Mom fill out her files. I walked my happy ass out to the car.
And that made me cringe.
I know it did make you cringe.
It's like, oh.
But I will tell you
there,
this.
But it's like, oh, Mama, you didn't have to do that.
But I did. And if I had been the one that was going to be seen by the doctor, I would have done the same thing. Mm. Yep. I'd have fought that too the whole time. From the beginning, to sit there and ask questions. It's like, okay, how are you going to differentiate between one virus and another? Okay, if you're, like I'm diabetic, if you shove something up into the nasal cavity, which is an extremely delicate area, you're going to cause microabrasions. Which is, that whole area is designed to trap bacteria and dirt and different things like that to prevent it from getting into other parts, more delicate parts. So you're not sticking something up my nose, scratching my nose, and having me mainline bacteria. That would be stupid.
Yep, pretty much.
And God bless Dr. Ortiz. He's had to put up with me for many years.
How many years exactly?
Quite a few. Enough
Too many.
Enough to where a lot of times I'm like, hey, can we do this by phone? And he's like, yeah. Because
that's all right.
It is. Because I'm not afraid of him. There's not that many people that intimidate me. Yeah. Because, Nope. I don't care how many letters they got behind their name. I don't care if they've got enough pieces of paper to plaster on a wall or 3. First of all, how did they get there? Was that by merit? Did they know somebody? Did they pay somebody? Do they know what they say that they know? Are they qualified?
Are they qualified or not?
Right. And that's one of the things we all need to ponder. Don't assume just because somebody says that they know something that they do. It's like prove it.
Always ask questions.
Think for yourself.
Yep.
Don't
be a sheeple.
Absolutely. Our people are not stupid people. They know how to research and look up things for themselves. I appreciate the rabbit holes that I'm getting to travel down because that helps me tremendously. So yeah, I'm just interested in other people's thoughts about Milgram Experiment, Stanford Prison Experiment, things that they have observed in the world today, how these things are being played out in front of us. Break out that victim role. All of us need to break out that victim role.
Yes.
Yep, united we stand. Anyhow, if you've got experiences with paranormal, supernatural, encounters UFOs, aliens, cryptids, psychological experiments. If you've got
adventure.
If you've got local, regional family, myths, legends, what have you, you can give us a email, cupofcoffeewithscream at gmail.com.
Yes.
Yeah, great ponderings. We're going to try to do light and fluffy for the weekend. We don't do light and fluffy well.
The hell you say we? I do light and fluffy pretty damn well.
Because I've got other ponderings that have been taking me days and weeks, and it's like shit keeps blowing up. I need about 3 or 4 snow days just to sit and do the researches. And to finish one or the other, and take the ADHD medication consistently.
But even in the snow days, they're still gonna be asking you to do stuff. They will.
That's
because they have done it before.
One of my favorite coffee mugs. I just want to drink coffee and be left alone.
There's a coffee mug I saw on Spencer's that said "Good morning, assholes."
But see, I would not want to use that. I would use that with you, but I would not use that with our viewers.
Oh, I would. I would use it with everyone in the world.
He doesn't drink coffee, so the point is moot.
But I do sometimes. There's so many things you can drink in a mug other than coffee.
That is true. So, you all have a beautiful, blessed day. Know that we do appreciate you, and
yes.
And we value your thoughts. So, and know that you're loved.
Yes.
And we'll see you on the next cut.
Don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe and click that little notification button in case you want daily notifications of, our daily uploads.
It's daily fuckery.
Yeah. Daily fuckery. What kind of fuckery is it?
We'll see you on the next cut. Bye.
Bye. Help.
Just as soon as I turned the camera on, he goes on.
I couldn't help it.
So
I couldn't help it.
We do hope that you all learned something. Even if you watched it the other time, this is something that we hope that maybe you learned something else. Some of these, it doesn't hurt to watch them more than once.
Yes.
Because there's always different information.
Just like it helps slathering yourself more than once with Vicks Salve.
The one thing that I didn't get around
your body
to,
in a whole Vicks Salve bath. There you go.
The one thing that I didn't get around to today was making a dessert.
You need it.
And so I may do that tomorrow. I may make a banana pudding or a banana pudding cake or something like that.
Banana pudding cake.
Yeah.
Someone put chocolate. Made a chocolate. Used Dolly Parton's cake, but made it chocolate.
That's blasphemy.
Chocolate banana pudding cake.
No. That is not a Southern thing. It was somebody that was imported down here. Now, I love my chocolate, but not in the banana pudding.
It's because she didn't put out a chocolate cake, which that in itself is a blasphemy. So, how can you be Southern and not make a chocolate cake?
Well, it's a separate recipe. You can do that. I mean, you don't have to put it all together.
Dolly Parton, please. Please. We need a chocolate cake from you. Your other cakes are good.
Yeah, they really are.
Make a chocolate cake, please.
Well, they've got all kinds of chocolate cakes that you can get that from.
You need a new box of tissues, too. I've used them up.
Well, of course you have. Anyhow.
Stuff the tissues up. Oh, we need more expensive tissues. These ones fall apart.
Because we did our normal ending at the end of the other one, we can just tell you that we love you and that we'll see you on the next cup.
Send healing.
Prayers are appreciated, seriously. We'll see you on the next cup. Bye.